Welcome to the show. This is We All Don't Wear Capes podcast, episode 2, where we are talking injustice. I am Chandler Struley.
And I am Nate Turner.
There you go. You said your last name this time.
Yes, I did.
Oh, man, we're working on it. We're getting things done. We're doing great now. Things are happening. So this week is Injustice because, well, the Injustice 2 game came out.
Yeah, came out May 16th, Tuesday?
Yeah, I guess that's the 16th.
Is it?
18th, 17, 16. Yep, maybe 16th.
Yep. Okay.
Had to count backwards on my hands. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
And what we didn't know and what I didn't know going into this, we were like, oh, let's talk Injustice. Like, we know there's a comic book about it. The games are obviously out there. We don't know a ton, but we're going to go for it. And there's a ton. There's so much more that I thought. I didn't know that the comics were split up into years, like 5-year segments.
I knew that. Yeah. I didn't know it was 5 years, but I knew it was year segments.
It was 5, yeah, because there's year 1 that goes all the way to 36, year 2 that goes all the way to 24, 3 to 24, 4 that goes to 22, 24, and 5 that goes to 40. So there's like, I don't want to do the math. There's a lot. There's at least...
What I find interesting, though, is...
And there's 5 annuals.
Unlike the whole Injustice 1 Gods Among Us comic book, Injustice 2 is just Injustice 2. Not a year or anything, just Injustice 2.
Yeah, it's just Injustice 2. There's no Gods Among Us. It's weird. It's weird to me that they didn't do that.
I think it might have been part of the issues with, like, Arkham Knight or something a while back, because there was a lot of Arkham... like issues, like they had Arkham City Insurgency or something like that, and there's a bunch of different issues and stories that spawned off the Arkham games, and they probably just like streamline like they did with Arkham Knight.
Yeah, I could see that. It's weird to me that they didn't decide. I guess it was in the Gods Among Us, but I guess it still fits because the game is called Injustice 2 Gods Among Us, right?
No, just Injustice 2.
The game is just Injustice 2?
Just Injustice 2.
I thought it was Gods Among Us.
No.
Why'd they take it away? They're still gods.
Because I don't know.
So apparently, whatever. And so the comic book series came out, man, when did it come out? So 6 years ago?
2011?
2011? That sounds
something.
The series tie-in with Injustice 2 was announced at 2016 Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. The original writer, Tom Taylor, returned to write, which is awesome. So there's a lot. There's a lot on this. And I could probably talk 4 hours on just the Injustice comics. But there's a quicker synopsis than that. So essentially, isn't it like, from my understanding, Superman became more powerful, or is like just as equally as powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just as equal.
But he kind of gave up on the whole being nice thing.
The way I see it is more of he gave up on his humanity. I mean, I played through both the stories, and I'm terrible at fighting games, so...
The text messages I got... So if you've played Injustice 1, the first game, you play as Batman your first story, right?
Yep.
Your first person you play as is Batman, and you eventually fight the Joker. And you go, and that's not that far into the game. And he goes, I can't beat Joker. I just can't do it. And he goes, I got really mad and beat the game in an hour. I'm like, what? What difficulty are you on? Very easy. I mean, you still get the story, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then I watched the whole thing afterwards because they have like little video that you could watch afterwards. So
yeah, we have a lot. There's so much things. I mean, there's so many, and it's weird to me that. So you know how most comics go by issue? I mean, yes, they call them chapters, but they're like, oh, it's issue. These ones call them chapters, and they're like, it feels that way. It's like, oh.
I think that's because of the game, though. Like, every part of the game was some chapter. Like,
yeah.
You had a chapter of, like, chapter 12, choosing sides or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, so it's weird. But I get it. I get splitting that up. But the weird part is that the comics came before the game.
Did they?
The Injustice comic, year 5 concludes as a storyline leads directly into the first Injustice game.
Well, I mean, that makes sense.
So, from my understanding, I'm going to look it up. So,
I mean, it's basically like Batman and Superman go to war for years, and then Injustice 1 happens.
Then Injustice 1 happens, and then there's this weird hiatus, and then Injustice 2 happens. Then we're here now. And they released a comic which, what was I gonna say? That follows along with it, which is actually pretty new. There's only 2 issues out because the second one came out 2 days ago.
I mean, like, I don't know what's the whole thing on DC's end of things, but I know WB Games is fairly good about putting their games out on time. So maybe it's just they coincide. Maybe they just wait. Like the first issue is when just before the game comes out, and the second issue is after the game comes out, so that people can enjoy the game while they're enjoying the comic series.
Yeah, I can see that. Also, I don't like the fact that Superman looks like by the end of it all looks so villainous. Like
you have no idea. Like you didn't see the alternate ending whole sequence that I did at the end. Like, I did you see the ending?
No.
Like the main one?
Nope.
Huh. Weird.
No, it's weird because there's a part in the storyline when okay, we're gonna go back and forth.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, spoiler. Injustice 2, there's a part where Superman gets released and he puts on a suit and he has his like neck face thing, kind of like what Brainiac has almost. And it's like, all right, you don't look like a villain completely.
Oh yeah, it's better than Arkham Nightwing's whole thing, where it's like, hey, we're going to give you the old Nightwing mask, but we're going to extend it around your skull, down your throat, and just leave everything below your eyes open and everything above your eyes open.
Okay, so I looked it up. Injustice issue 1 was released January 30th, 2013, and the game was released April 3rd, 2013. So I guess the full series, that's a what? Okay, so the full series wasn't out by the time the game was released.
No.
That's weird. I guess if you have the game and then you have the...
Well, I mean, like, they could have just stopped with the comic if it didn't do well on game sales, because if the game's not selling well, why continue the comic?
I don't know what that was.
That scared me.
Scared me too. I saw the video pop up and I was like, oh, please don't play on our headphones. And it did. Sorry, I'm browsing through the internet to go through all our links, and that was annoying. So yeah, so Injustice 1, the comic book came out shortly before the game, which I think makes sense. You can't really, I guess you could base a game off of nothing, but it's better to have a base of a comic book before you release a game.
Well, I mean, they had a bunch of DC writers initially, I know, for the story, like write the whole thing. But practicality into the game and how much development went into it, there's a lot of gaps.
Well, how so? How's there a lot of gaps? Explain yourself.
And yet again, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't beaten Injustice 2.
We're going to have, just know that there's going to be spoilers said in this episode, so if you don't want to hear them.
Because this annoyed the ever-living hell out of me.
This is a very spoiler-heavy episode because we're going to talk in depth about it.
In Injustice 1, you could play as Dick Grayson Nightwing.
Okay.
And that was like my character. That's the one character I could play, really? Hands down.
You played your favorite character? Who would have thought?
It was because he was fast and easy.
Well, that's Nightwing. Have you played any of the Arkham games? I mean, same premise.
Arkham Knight, not so much. But
anyway, continue with your rant. I know exactly what you're going to say.
In Justice 2, very beginning of the game, you have Robin by your side, Damian Wayne Robin, and then he turns on you, and you have to fight him as Batman. And then sometime later, he becomes Nightwing. No explanation. And apparently, me looking into the comics, Dick Grayson Nightwing died. What the hell?
So mad, but they don't. So Damian Wayne becomes Nightwing, but you don't get to play as him in the game, like in the versus mode.
It makes me so mad.
He's still Robin. He's still Robin with the
but
get up.
He has freaking skins and stuff that say like Nightwing and Agent 37, which is, if you don't know the Grayson comic book, Nightwing died at one point supposedly and became an agent of Spiral called Agent 37. And it's just like, God.
So Nate's mad because. Wait, hold on. I'm going to say this because I'm going to screw it every time. When you introduce yourself, did you call yourself Nate Turner or Thomas Turner at the beginning of this?
That's a Nate Turner.
All right. So you'll notice this. Nate sometimes tells people goes by Thomas because that's his actual name, his birth name. And no, sorry. Yeah, Thomas is his birth name. Nate is his middle name, and Nate's easier to say. We were roommates freshman year, and I switched it every other time.
It was really funny because for the longest time I kept leaving just to go figure out what your name was because I'm terrible at names. Just to look at the door.
Yeah. And I picked different ones. So, but we're here now. But I get the pain. You know, you play against Nightwing, and you're like, but he's not technically Nightwing, but he is.
Well, I mean,
but they don't mention it. They don't have any like.
There's that whole thing there that they don't mention it. But my main issue is when I'm fighting him in the story, it's clearly Nightwing from Injustice 1. Like that, the moveset and everything is the same moveset. I can't play as him.
But I want to play as him because Damian Wayne as Robin, when you play as him, isn't.
It's so much different.
It's not nearly as fast, I would imagine.
No, it can be.
Okay, well, it can be.
I think for people who are watching this on YouTube, I have some gameplay, and I think Robin's in that. And whoever I was playing against, I don't remember if it was you or one of my friends. And
so, to preface this, we played Injustice 2. We played a lot of the story. Okay, so the Injustice 2 storyline is long for an Injustice game, I would imagine.
I would say for a fighting game, it's pretty long.
It's like probably what, a 2 hour?
I mean, if you're just watching the cutscenes, like I looked it up, it's 2 hours and 45 minutes and like 30 seconds.
Not including fighting.
Yeah, that's not including fighting.
So probably take like a 3 hour complete. If you're winning first try every time, I would imagine.
And if you're good at the game.
Right.
Unlike me.
Which we got better. We got better as the game went on. But I played a couple, 20, 30 minutes of the storyline, and then we played each other in versus mode. Really, I just wanted to play in versus mode because I wanted to see all the cool finishers.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the game. And he recorded it. We got about 30 minutes, supposedly, of video of us going against each other, showing super moves, yada, yada, yada. Didn't record.
Oh, I finally figured out transitions.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nate has also been trying to figure out how to knock people out of the area, and he got it once when we were playing each other
On accident.
on complete accident. Was so high, couldn't remember how to do it, and now I'm sure you practiced.
Oh yeah, like I know how to do it, and it's hilarious.
But
That's all I do.
That's the fun part about the game, and it's so interesting to see that. But there is a lot of weird parts that there's a lot of characters I wish were in the game. Like I don't know the Injustice storyline, and it's weird how like Blue Beetle and Firestorm are in it when like to me those are characters that aren't the most prominent in the DC universe. Like
Well, I mean, they're coming up.
Yeah, well, more so Blue Beetle than Firestorm, I feel.
I would say the opposite actually.
Really?
I mean, in comics, probably Blue Beetle is rising faster, but at least in common knowledge, I mean, there's Firestorm every week on Heroes of or Legends of Tomorrow, and Ronnie comes in and out of what is it, The Flash? It seems like.
Oh, you know what's weird? No, it's another weird person that was in the game that hasn't been talked about a ton, I feel. Dr. Fate.
You know,
He's such a random character in that whole...
you don't play as him at all in the story, at all.
You see him.
Like 3 times.
You see him in the story, he's random, and then all of a sudden you play... it's one of those things where the game will show you generally who you're playing as. It'll tell you. Like, I'll have a cutscene, I'll have like 4 characters, and all of a sudden you're playing as 2 of them.
Yeah.
You can pick between 2 of them. And we're talking about Injustice 2 right now. And like, you'll get a cutscene where it's like Cyborg, Dr. Fate, and Green Arrow. I don't think that's real, but it's a hypothetical situation. It'll never be Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
Like, he always just gets left.
What was we were watching like a 20-minute cutscene, and then like Dr. Fate randomly showed up, and we're like, oh, cool, he's by himself. We must be playing Dr. Fate. And then it switches to another cutscene, and we're just like, oh.
Oh, whatever. I didn't want to play as him anyways.
He shows up 3 times in the whole game, warning Black Canary and Green Arrow. That one time we saw where he's just like more like freaking out that all these people are dying and the world's going to hell. And then one last time to try to stop Superman and Batman, saying that Brainiac will bring about order for the Lords of Order.
Yeah, man. This is... So we're skipping through a lot of stuff. We can get back on track, I think. So let's talk Injustice 1. Start with Injustice 1, move our way through. That way we're a little bit more organized and not so hyped on Injustice 2, which we will get to. So Injustice 1, Nate, you played through all the whole campaign. What did you think about it? How'd you feel? Tell us a little about the game.
I felt angry.
Why'd you feel angry?
Took me so long to beat Joker.
Okay, besides your hiccup with not beating Joker and then beating the game you played against Joker for as long as it took you to beat the game. Probably.
No, much longer.
What? Being the true Batman fan, how come Joker was literally your hiccup?
I have no idea. Like, the worst part is, like, any other character I played as, and I had to face Joker, perfectly fine.
Awesome. Could beat him. Batman versus Joker? Can't beat him. It's a crutch.
I don't know what my issue was, but...
Because he's your arch nemesis. That's why.
God damn it. But, I mean, Injustice 1's story is very basic, I would say.
Very basic.
I mean, it starts out fairly simply. Joker sets off a bomb in Metropolis. I mean, that's not really a spoiler. It's a freaking trailer. So
okay. Sets off a bomb. Does the bomb do anything? Does it release anything?
It's a nuke that basically destroys most, if not all, of Metropolis.
Okay, interesting.
And in the game, at least, it is implied that Lois Lane died there.
Okay, so that's kind of what sets Superman off, right?
Yeah, but in the comic, it's learned that she was pregnant.
Oh.
And Joker gave Superman some type of special, like, Joker gas, and what I assume was mixed with fear gas, because I can't remember Joker gas ever changing someone's viewpoint on someone else.
What a weird and horrible combination.
But Superman literally starts fighting Lois Lane.
There's a part in the story that I read, and I just realized that it's a stupid name for a person, but keep going. Okay. It's when Superman does his thing. Go on.
But, like, he sees Doomsday and takes Doomsday into space and crushes Lois's spine.
Nice.
And then as she's dying, she says, like, it's not your fault or something like that. I don't remember. And he's just holding her body as he's seeing her change back into Lois and realizing he killed her. It's just like,
oh,
that's the end game.
And then Superman kills a bunch of people.
Oh, God, yes.
Including Golden Glider. Again, we got back to conversation on heroes and villains and their names being kind of dumb. Golden Glider is...
Yeah,
creative, but not. Basically goes on a rampage, kills a ton of people. A lot of people join his side, which is... Okay, so... Is there a reason they joined their side? Like, is there a reason they said, okay, let's be on the side of the crazy Kryptonian?
The logic that I used to understand that was mainly, this was a massive event, and no one could have stopped it, except the Joker.
Okay.
I mean, Superman might have been able to, but he was also what he thought protecting the world against Doomsday, which is a huge threat on its own.
Right.
And he couldn't make it in time to deal with the nuke. And when you go to that end and you destroy so many people, it changes your opinion on so many things, I would think. And, I mean, the Flash joined his side, Green Lantern joined his side, Wonder Woman, the one who probably pushed most, like, we need to get vengeance, we need to strike fear into them, because this Wonder Woman... Like, it's not like the comic book, or not comic, Justice League, like, TV show Wonder Woman. It's like, straight up, Amazon warrior, I'm going to cut your head off, Wonder Woman.
It's the true goddess, like, in power, like,
yeah,
we need to strike them down kind of person. And Shazam, which those people is a horrible combo to go against. Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and Shazam.
I mean, for the most part, it was pretty much Lex Luthor, Batman, freaking Green Arrow, and I don't remember who else right off the top of my head. But that was it against them.
Can you explain this note and explain to me what this means. I know what you mean, but I want to know why you wrote it this way.
What?
So as mini joined his side initially, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Shazam, became Super Hitler, named his cause the regime. All right, so you're going to have to explain why Super Hitler.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. He conquered the whole world in what sounded like a matter, like maybe a month, for one. For two, he literally created like an army that was dressed in all black and had red highlights. And he had generals known as the Flash, Shazam, Wonder Woman. It was just like, he became Hitler. And you add regime to it.
So he's Super Hitler. So I get it. I was just trying to see what I just read Super Hitler. I was like, wow.
It was just like, what? Why did you go so far? I get like executing your villains that you face up against. Maybe now. Whatever. I mean, Green Arrow used to do that. Cool. But like,
Green Arrow is such a weird superhero. Like, to me, Green Arrow and all of this is so funny because he plays an important role, but he's also like Green Arrow. Like, it's weird when I see superheroes who I don't feel are as strong or up to par with other superheroes, and they do a lot of damage, or they like are this huge role, and you're like, but why? Like, why'd you make
that actually reminds me of playing Injustice 2 story. Like,
well, we'll get to that and why Green Arrow's ridiculous in that story. So after all that, Batman, of course, starts the insurgency and is losing the war. Of course he is, because he's Super Hitler. It's going against Super Hitler, aka Superman, who is, as we know from comic books, can be extremely overpowered in many ways.
yeah.
So he does that. He brings other worlds' heroes to help stop Superman and his regime. That's intense.
Yeah.
So there's two worlds, right? In this one?
In Injustice 1, yes.
There's two worlds. So he brings people from the other world, like, hey, we got to stop Superman because he's going to destroy everything and take over everything.
And if I recall, in the game at least, it was an accident that Joker came along with Batman. Like, they were fighting, and then it just kind of happened. So
It's weird to me. Like, it's not weird, but it makes sense that it's like Superman versus Batman because that's what everyone goes against. But like, that's the movie I want to see. I want to see the Injustice, like, Superman versus Batman movie. Make that movie instead of Dawn of Justice.
Honestly, though, I don't feel like it would be a good movie.
Why?
Like, if you're watching just Injustice 1, there's so much that goes on that if you put it into, like, say, a 2-hour movie, like live action or whatever.
Make it rated R. Let's make it awesome.
No, I mean, that's not that. I'm talking about, like, there'd be so much story skips because you would have to choreograph the fight scenes and stuff, or you'd just be skipping so much randomly.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Here's a say on superhero movies in general. If you do a superhero movie that's just based off a superhero, like their year one or their year zero, so it's like their beginning, you have a lot of leeway with what you say and how you portray it. You can go off a comic book pretty well with that. Any comic book movie that's based off an arc, any of them, it's going to be an issue because usually arcs are like 10 comics, usually 10 to 20.
But I mean, like, if we're looking at Injustice as a game, it does a pretty good job because it's a fighting game. Like, the story is contained into the cutscenes rather than anything, and the fight scenes you play yourself, and they skip a lot according to the comics. But
yeah,
if you were to fit that all into a movie, because you would have to have like a 10-minute fight scene. I remember like Dawn of Justice was like a 20-minute fight scene just between Batman and Superman. I mean, I love that, but
okay, so we should have an episode on just superhero movies and our opinions on them. I didn't see. We're DC people. I want DC movies to be so good. I want them to come out of the dust and be like, listen, I have hopes for Wonder Woman. I think it could be a good movie.
I'm still holding my breath.
But here's one thing, and I think everyone agrees with this. If you ever have another Batman movie, don't show his beginning. Don't show the parents dying.
I mean, Dawn of Justice did pretty good on that. Like, they just did the intro cutscene, and it was just like flashes. But like, I mean, it still kind of did it. So,
But like every Batman movie has the, oh no, his parents are dead. Now he's Batman.
well, I mean, that's the great thing about the new one, and the only reason I have hope for the new one, that and it sounds like Red Hood might actually be the villain. I mean, Deathstroke's going to be in it, but
All right, we're getting off topic.
yep.
So Superman makes his regime, Batman makes the insurgency. You know, they're going against each other. It looks like he also brings the Joker from that world, which is a horrible idea.
It was an accident. He was trying to get the Batman, and they were fighting at the time, so.
He brought the Joker, which I'm sure isn't good at all.
No.
Brings the other Joker over. That's not good. Aquaman and Wonder Woman stopped the regime selves. Is there a reason behind that? So they basically stopped being in the regime, which is weird that Wonder Woman would. Aquaman's kind of this weird.
No, not like that. Like, the second world that was brought stops their regime selves.
Okay, so the other world, Wonder Woman and Aquaman come and stop the current.
Yeah. I had no idea how to write that on our notes, so.
Gotcha. Okay. So the ones that Batman brought over stop the ones that are currently in his world.
Yeah.
All right. Got it. Hal Jordan in anger stops his Yellow Lantern doppelganger. Wait. When does Hal Jordan become a Yellow Lantern? Is that the regime or is it just in the...
It's the regime. I have no idea when. It, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you see the intro, you see, like, Green Lantern there, and he's fighting some villains in an attempt to stop, like, the nuke and stuff like that. But sometime after that, he becomes a Yellow Lantern. In the game, you have no idea what's happening.
Weird.
Like,
It's weird.
it just happens.
All right. So I guess it's basically... I think it's a sign of, like, once they turned over evil, like, everything goes to hell. And
I mean,
people
Nightwing went
change.
from clean-cut hair to I have the longest hair and it flows in the wind.
But there's a Nightwing like that. One of the animated series has the Nightwing with the long hair,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
It was Teen Titans.
Yeah, and then that was the one where you had like the big blue Nightwing logo, which you really
And
could.
it's also the animated series, Batman the animated series.
That's true. After a small disagreement, Superman kills Shazam. After a small disagreement, Superman kills Shazam.
I don't remember the disagreement, but I believe it was something like we should just lock them up. We could use them potentially in the future or something like that. And then Superman is like, they're criminals now. And then Shazam's like, I don't agree with your methods. And
Gets murdered.
like literally, Superman grabs his head and just uses his heat vision into his eyes and kills Billy Batson.
That's so.
And that's what caused the Flash to leave.
Yeah, yeah. Flash is smart. After Flash leaves regime to warn the insurgency. The regime follows, and all hell breaks loose at the insurgency base. Of course it does.
Apparently, they put like a tracking device in the Flash's like helmet. So, it's just like, how did he not notice?
So it all basically ends when Batman brings Superman from the other world to come in and fight the regime Superman. Good guy Superman wins, and everyone goes back to their worlds like nothing ever happened again. Oh, well, kind of.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that.
It's like, okay, go see you later. And then we go to Injustice 2.
By the way, what we're talking about is the game.
Yeah.
Mainly, we're not talking about the comic book. Comic book goes a lot more in depth, and like Harley Quinn has an army. I don't know when that happened, but
Yeah, the comic book is it's too much to talk about in this sense because there's all these years and it talks about how the whole, I mean, it's 100+ comics for the whole
I believe
Injustice.
Year 5 actually ends at the end of Injustice 1, doesn't it?
Year 5 is supposedly ends at the beginning of Injustice.
Right.
Which is weird to me, right? Like they should end simultaneously, kind of, but they should end within reason. It's like, no, year 5 goes to Injustice, and there's Injustice, and then there's Injustice 2, and then there's the comic book.
I remember I know there's a comic book out there that at least has the end of Injustice 1, and I don't know if that's actually Injustice. It might be Injustice 2 now that I'm thinking about it.
I really want to know. I didn't look in too deep with this. While they're making Injustice: Gods Among Us, do you think that there was like a time where they had, like, you know how like Blackest Night came out, and like every character in Blackest Night had like the Blackest Night offline? Do you think every character in Injustice had their own Injustice spinoff?
I mean, possibly.
Because that's a lot of characters. That's that. I'm surprised that like that's not a bigger arc known. I mean, it's known, but it's like it's not up there to me.
I mean, I doubt it to a degree. I feel like it's more of one of those like Justice League comics where it's like, yeah, I mean they have their own stories and stuff like that, but what we're focusing on here is the story of this arc through like Justice League, rather than.
Man, New 52 was nuts. that's every time I think of it because like this is New 52, like right in the thick of it. Mm-mm. Yes, it was.
I mean, it was during the time of New 52, but this was its own thing. It had nothing to do with the New 52.
Which is okay. So every time I think of comic books and their worlds, it's always weird to me that it's like we can write comics that have nothing to do with other comics, but still be the same heroes. And then that's why people get in arguments.
Yeah, it's.
So then Justice 2 happens, which is not many, but many years later. And
also many years prior.
What?
Yeah, read the note.
It's so while Injustice 1 goes on, isn't it like Brainiac attacks Krypton, Supergirl's on the run from Brainiac's robots? What? I thought before.
Yeah,
prior.
Way before, because this is the same time that Superman was launched into space by his father and sent to Earth.
So this is literally the beginning. This is back when. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
You see that.
So Brainiac attack Krypton, blows it up.
That was an awesome 20-minute cutscene.
Blows it up, destroys it. We all know that story. If you don't, well, then you don't know Superman. Supergirl is on the run from the Brainiac's robots. Kara, which is Supergirl. I don't know why you switched names there.
I don't know.
Supergirl, and then Kara, which, in case you didn't know, is Supergirl. Mom sacrificed herself to send Kara to protect Kal-El, which is Superman. Again, with the names. Kara gets caught in the debris from Krypton's destruction and strays off. And then that's the end of Supergirl until, well,
apparently
now.
Sometime after Injustice 1.
Which is weird to me that she, there's this cutscene where you have Brainiac shown destroying, you have Superman getting shut off, and then you have all this stuff, and then Kara goes away, and then all of a sudden the game happens, and then it's like, oh, here's Supergirl.
I mean, to a degree, I understand it. I mean, in the story of Superman and everything, she just kind of shows up randomly. It's not really a set choice or anything. It's just whenever her ship finally made it to Earth.
Which I guess
Smallville,
years.
apparently he was just he just graduated high school basically. So
weird. Smallville. I miss that show.
I've been watching it recently on Hulu.
It's a good show. It's weird that
it's not that great actually. You go watching back, it's just
for what it is. So then, few years prior to the events of Injustice 1, Batman and Robin are out trying to prevent Superman and his regime from killing the inmates of Arkham.
That was weird.
Okay, so here's a question I always thought, and reading that kind of brings it up, is Batman obviously has faced most, if not all, the inmates in Arkham, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this kind of brings up the question of, if Superman is killing the bad guys, is it that wrong?
I mean,
is it the whole, balance of good and evil kind of thing?
Well, here's the thing that I always saw. Batman and Superman both had this, law about them in a way that they would not kill. I mean, if you really go back in Batman's history, yeah, he used to kill, but...
Well, so people had this argument when the Superman versus Batman Dawn of Justice came out, and Batman kills people, and you're like...
46.
And you're like, why? And then there's well, there is arcs where Batman does kill people. The one we all know is Batman puts them asleep. Breaking a neck doesn't put people to sleep. But we'll ignore that one. That always made me laugh. Oh, he's just unconscious.
I love that college humor video.
He snapped his neck.
I love that college humor video.
But so there's that whole issue. So yeah, there are parts where Batman has been seen to kill, and people forget that because the big one, the main one, he doesn't.
Yeah.
And so the issue is Superman's killing people, not so much that it's who he's killing.
And it's also not the fact that, Batman leaves those decisions up to the judicial system, and Superman used to.
Well,
there have been villains that did atrocities that had death sentences. by the judicial system. But
Shouldn't they all?
I mean, Joker, I don't know how he's avoided that, but
Because it's back to if there's no Joker, there's no Batman kind of thing.
I mean,
If you really think about it.
New 52 Batman barely had Joker. If you really think about it, he just had the major arcs.
He barely had Joker. Let's not forget let's not go back to issue 40 forward where where Joker wasn't there, but he was also there. Or before that, when it was Batman died, then Jim Gordon took over as Batman.
I mean, I love those issues.
Yeah, they're awesome. The bunny suit was cool. But no, so Superman tries to kill inmates in Arkham, which, if you want to believe it or not, could be good, could be bad, depends on your views on killing and if it's right to kill prisoners.
And at this time, this is when Batman's kind of training Damian. Damian still, if you know the story of Batman and his son Damian Wayne, he has issues initially training Damian to not kill and having to explain to him why they don't kill often. And this is a major thing. And it was a major developmental issue that basically Damian sided with Superman. That's what happened.
Yeah, and the weird part to me, so this game, if you know a lot about the Batman series, it's like this is later. Like this is Damian Wayne as Robin, where Jason Todd, Dick Grayson, and the other one whose name I forget, Tim Drake, aren't Robin. They've already moved on to their lives, and they're
Nightwing's dead.
Well, or live.
Jason is dead. I mean, there's the Red Hood DLC coming out whenever. But
Jason's not dead. He's never dead. Again, but it's like it's later in like the story of the Robins and like Batman. So it's weird to me that it's like that's when they decided to do it because like, you could pick any time.
I mean, from my understanding though, it made sense. Like Injustice 1, at that time, Nightwing existed.
Right.
And if Nightwing exists, there's a good chance Tim Drake's around, at least.
He's somewhere.
And he is either Robin or Red Robin at the time. And if you give it some leeway, if he's already Red Robin, there might be Damian Wayne as that. But then there's all the whole issue of like, what if Tim Drake never happened because of blah, 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 blah.
So here's my question. So I always forget. It goes, in the series of Robins, it went Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Damian Wayne.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you count the two female ones.
Okay. No, well, the ones that people know more so than the two females. So the four guys.
The four main.
The four main ones. So Damian Wayne's the last one. Do you think that there'll ever be a fifth?
Maybe.
Do you think they'll ever have an arc where Damian Wayne becomes some new character?
I don't know. I mean, Tim Drake for a while was Batman Beyond.
That was a thing. I forgot that was a thing.
Awesome.
So there's Nightwing, Red Hood. I'm going to say Red Robin just because that's the one that I think a lot of people know. And then Robin, I feel like Damian Wayne's getting old enough to where he's gonna go through the whole.
Not in the current comics.
He's still young?
Yeah, he's still young. I mean, there's the whole Super Sons thing where Superman has like I want to say it's like 10-year-old kid. Want to say it's like 10-year-old.
We'll talk about that because that's for later. But it's weird that like it's interesting that they still have Damian Wayne. So Damian Wayne's side to Superman. Then you kind of see that throughout the story when he goes through his Nightwing thing, which really bothers the hell out of Nate. Batman's jet is shot down by Cyborg because Cyborg's on the side of Superman. Batman fights off Wonder Woman. Batman confronts Superman. Superman's about to lose. And then what happens?
Damian comes in with Victor Zsasz.
Now, who's Victor's ass?
He is one of Batman's famous, I wouldn't say really famous now that I think about it, villains. Not a lot of people know about him, but he's a massive serial killer that every time he kills someone, he would cut himself. And he has marks all over his body, and he has killed, I think it was, like, last time I looked it up, it was like 198 or something like that, people. And no one's killed him. And before Batman, it was like 170. So, I mean, Batman's done a pretty good job cutting it down.
Yeah. And then Robin killed him and
just
joins the
slits his
regime.
throat.
So here's the issue that I have with all of that. And it's my biggest issue with how they treated Batman in this. It's like Batman was like by himself essentially, comes in, confronts Cyborg, fights off Cyborg, fights off Wonder Woman, is about to beat Superman. It's like, listen, I get that Batman is powerful. I understand that concept. That's almost too much for me.
Well, I mean, Batman kind of sucker punched Superman in a way with a red sun grenade. I'm just like, how the heck do you do that? But that's beside the point.
He's Batman, so he can make a red sun grenade because we have to make sure he can
like,
beat
Superman still had his powers, but he was severely weakened.
Oh yeah, that's what happens with a red sun.
So
It's like kryptonite, but not. The whole aspect of that bothers me. But so now the whole plot twist. Dun dun dun. Damian joins the regime.
yeah.
Big twist. Oh no, what is he gonna do?
And then pretty much after that whole cutscene, it skips to Bruce Wayne. Apparently, everyone knows he's just Batman. I'm just like, why?
Pulled a Tony Stark.
I mean,
I'm Batman.
he's having a press conference in front of some judiciary system, it looked like, about Superman's conviction.
So he's,
And you find out Damian Wayne is also locked up in the same prison as Superman. And it's apparently like a few years maybe after, like a year maybe after the events of Injustice 1.
so that happens, and what they're doing is they're keeping him in prison. They have Cyborg,
Cyborg's locked up.
Cyborg, Damian Wayne, and Superman all locked up in the same place, right?
I believe so.
I think. And
Don't think there's any more.
Superman is being controlled by like a red sun generator, right?
Yeah, he's locked in a red sun prison. Yeah.
So basically, that he can't get out because
Yeah.
if he could, it's just glass, and I still think he could break through it.
I think it's like one of those like, I mean, Batman has those Batmobiles. How the heck does, like, after everything, not a single scratch, bullet hole, or anything? So maybe it's made out of that same stuff.
You know the material in the Avengers movie where it's Loki's in that thing?
Yeah,
It's probably that,
probably that.
where it's like
I mean, it looks a lot like that.
it's the same exact thing if we really want to think about it.
Except it has a big ass red sun generator under it.
Yeah, basically keeping Superman from being Superman. You find out after that Kara also comes to Earth, so Supergirl comes to Earth during that whole mix. Batman sends out warning or others to protect the world, including Harley Quinn, Green Arrow, and Black Canary. Harley Quinn is always a weird one because she's like,
She's part of the Bat family in that world.
which is okay again weird, but
It's super interesting. I want to know why and how that happened.
read the comics. Maybe you're reading Justice 2. There's only 2 issues out.
That's true.
I mean, this is the easiest one to get into because there's 2 issues
Yeah,
you can
that's
start. Like the Green Lanterns comic with the 2 Green Lanterns, like, oh, I got the first 6. Now there's 23 of them. I'm like, man, I've been so gone. Swamp Thing, after a brief bit of confusion, helps the trio out. Swamp Thing. Arguably one of my more favorite DC characters because I feel like he's not good or bad. He's just trying to protect the Earth.
The weirdest thing is until like I think it was Brightest Day or Blackest Night or something like that, he pretty much didn't exist. Like he used to be like a DC comic that was like the things from the deep,
Yeah.
or something like that. And then he got his own little spin-off thing where they found out how he became Swamp Thing and why he's not really a monster. He's just protecting the world.
The Green, as he calls it.
Yeah, and then apparently there's someone who died and someone else took over, and then freaking Blackest Night happened, and
See, I like that. I like that there's a hero out there or a creature, or whatever you want to call them, that their sole purpose is like, listen, I don't care what side you're on. I don't care who you are. I'm trying to protect the Earth. Like, he's just Mother Nature in a character.
the Dr. Fate
Kind of like Dr. Fate.
just preserves order.
Yeah, but Dr. Fate is, I mean, they're about the same known.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's like, oh, Dr. Fate shows up for a little bit. Oh, Swamp Thing's here. You can play as him. He's really slow, obviously.
I don't know what it is. I was playing on an online match this morning. Some guy just beat me in like 30 seconds with Swamp Thing.
Okay, because people know how to use combinations. I know vaguely enough like what moves to use, but people are.
No, I mean like he was just moving across the map so fast, and I was like, "What happened?"
Wanna know why? Because I use the ability where there's two of them and I can punch you in the back. Once I figured that out, I'm like, I'm going to use that as much as I can without being cheap. There's an unwritten rule where you play a fighting game. You can't really do the same move more than twice in a row unless you're Nate and you're Green Arrow. Which I get, it's fun
Just
to do.
one button, just shooting
I was
arrows.
going to shoot arrows until you come and attack me. So Swamp Thing helps out. Gorilla Grood?
Grodd.
There's two O's.
Did it autocorrect?
It didn't autocorrect. It still has red lines under it. Gorilla Grodd, the big gorilla dude from Flash,
Yeah, it was 2 O's.
put together the society, including Captain Cold, Deadshot, Bane, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, Reverse Flash, and Cheetah. Because Reverse Flash can't leave this world. He is stuck. He is here.
That made me laugh so hard.
Because Superman killed?
Superman killed one of his ancestors, and Reverse Flash was coming back through this universe to try to stop something. And I don't know really what happened, and I don't know who he killed, but it was just like he blames the Flash for this, and it's just like, how is the Flash involved at all?
Right? So, kind of a power team. They all join up. Dr. Fate appears to Green Arrow and Black Canary to warn them of their fates. Dr. Fate's just this weird character that shows up randomly. Green Arrow and Black Canary captured by Brainiac. Oh no.
By the way, this is just going through the whole story. Injustice 2 is actually pretty long story.
It's such a long story. So long.
I mean, main game is 57 fights, and then there's 76 fights total
yeah.
to get both endings.
It's a lot. It's almost too much. But it's just enough for a fighting game where you're like, all right, I want to watch the cutscenes. Randomly, the two people that guard Superman are Firestorm and Blue Beetle. Weird combination.
I mean, one can become a nuke.
One can become a nuke, and one is more powerful than you can imagine.
And apparently, Batman uses Firestorm to make gold kryptonite and other different types of kryptonite to stop Superman. And I'm just like, what?
He makes magic kryptonite. It's truly.
I'm trying to figure out what gold kryptonite is. Like, I've heard of blue, black, green, red, and what does gold do?
I don't know. We can Google it later. Black Adam's in this game. I really wish that was the end of that. Black Adam shows up and helps Wonder Woman find Supergirl and train her, which is not fun. Brainiac shows up on Earth, tries to destroy everything, as you would imagine. Basically tries to destroy the planet itself by sucking all of its resources out. Is that the gist?
Brainiac absorbs all information and collects one major city if it's depending on the population of the whole planet, or otherwise multiple cities depending on how it's also configured. Like, he apparently took Atlantis in Injustice 2. And he took Metropolis and Star City.
Okay.
So.
Wow, there's... All right. We're trying to get through this because there's so much...
There's so much.
Gorilla Grodd shows up working for Brainiac. What a shocker. Flash, who was exonerated and forced to retire, comes out of retirement.
I spelled exonerated wrong, didn't I?
Exonerated. I think it's right. I just think it's the way it looks is spelled weird. The way it looks, it sounds weird. Comes out of retirement. Yay for Flash.
Like, it was actually really kind of cool. Like, he's a part of this research team in the mountains, just studying different vibrations and other different types of metahuman abilities. And he's helping metahumans discover their abilities and stuff like that. And then Brainiac attacks, and he doesn't know what to do. And this woman reassures him, "You've been exonerated for your crimes." And they don't say her name, I don't think. But he just is like, "I have to go." And it's just like, hell yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so to make this short, there's too much. This is going to be a 2-hour long podcast because I literally scrolled through how much we have left to talk about.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, I could run you through it real quick.
Yeah, do that.
So basically, after Flash runs into the Reverse Flash. He blames him for everything, as I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And then, what is it? Everyone comes together finally in a huge fight, basically, over getting Superman out of prison. And that's when Nightwing shows up.
Bitter about it. Damn it.
God.
Nightwing.
Sorry.
Continue.
And Batman actually sets Superman free, seeing it as the last resort for Brainiac. Oh, also, during the Flash arc of this story, Green Lantern shows up as Green Lantern again. This was the Yellow Lantern one. Apparently, he had been through some tough shit.
He went through some trials, but he got back. Hal Jordan's my boy. He's back.
They don't
again.
describe what, but like just looking at his face, it's just like, oh.
You've seen some stuff. So keep going. Just a quick synopsis, then we'll talk about the endings for a little bit, and then we'll go on to our later on, because it's literally we've been talking just about this for a little over 50 minutes.
Yeah. So Batman is hesitant to accept Green Lantern, as you know, he was part of the regime and he wasn't exonerated, etc.
Right.
But he, after some convincing by Flash, was accepted, and he actually sends Green Lantern to Atlantis to try to recruit Aquaman because he needs those Marines, I think they called them, to fight against Brainiac. And ultimately, he kind of fails. I mean, he gets a bunch of them, but, you know, Atlantis gets taken. Whatever. And during this whole time, Green Lantern's having issues with, like, his anger. And it turns out Atrocitus has been messing with his mind, trying to make him into a Red Lantern.
The rage. Rah.
And then Atrocitus is just gone for the rest of the thing, just completely.
So through all this,
then it just basically skips. Everyone comes together. We gotta face Brainiac. Let's go, team. And then Superman gets vaporized because they can't break through Brainiac's shield. They find a way to break through Brainiac's shield with Aquaman and Black Adam.
yeah, using the power of what is the word? What is the god's name?
It wasn't Shazam.
No, it was something with a K.
I don't remember.
Kadong or something? Kadang?
No, that's the location.
I thought that was the thing.
Kadak or Kadak.
No, the thing where it's like we have to use the.
I don't remember. But they break through the shield. Supergirl, Kara, and Batman break through. Kara gets abducted by Brainiac's ship, and then Superman shows up and they fight Brainiac. And they defeat Brainiac with the help of Supergirl after they sever Brainiac's connection. By the way, they find Firestorm and Blue Beetle, which apparently got lost. No one talked about that at all. Like, really, it's just like, whatever.
Meh.
During this time, Grodd is killed by Aquaman. Mm-hmm. And then it's basically just one of the two endings.
It's all this whole crap. So what's ending? The good ending.
So there's two endings, and it's over the decision whether or not to kill Brainiac, especially immediately. Like, Batman's thing is we should keep him because we don't know how we're going to get the cities back, which is a good reason because they don't know that technology. I would think that's a good reason. Try to force him, whatever. Superman's is we'll kill him and then figure it out later.
Okay.
You got to choose either Batman or Superman. I chose Batman, which is the good ending. And you basically fight the regime that has risen back again. And oddly, Kara, Supergirl, joins Batman's side because she sees the wrong that Superman is doing. And basically, it's just Batman and Superman fighting it out at the end. They actually talk about a really nice moment they had. Mm-hmm. And that's on both endings.
Okay.
And one ending is Batman stops Superman and sends him into the Phantom Zone as a prisoner.
Okay. So, first ending, the good ending where he sends him to the Phantom Zone. I had to look it up because I wasn't sure. I was thinking of Danny Phantom, and that's the Ghost Zone, not the Phantom Zone. I was about to laugh really hard and like, oh, we got sent to the Phantom Zone. That goes about trying to fix the world, which is awesome, which is kind of what you want. Now I'll go to the second ending, which is not the good one.
What did I write? I remember I wrote something.
Ending 2, Superman goes batshit.
Yep, that's it. So if you chose Superman's ending, he fights his cousin and everything, and then he's fighting Batman. Same nice moment happens where they're talking about the night that Batman apparently already knew, but Clark found out that Lois was pregnant. It was apparently a really nice night, and they both really enjoyed it, and they're going to miss it. Superman almost kills Batman, and then Batman basically says, "Do it, become the villain that I know you have become, and show me what that villain looks like." And just like
The cop out.
and Superman's just like, "I can't do it because he would win." But he finds a loophole because he merges with Brainiac's ship. He becomes even more powerful, if you can imagine that. And he mind controls a bunch of warriors that were in those cities. By the way, Superman did one good thing in that whole thing. He pretty much immediately put all the cities back, and even more that were just on Brainiac's ship.
Of course. Why not? Why not bring all the cities back?
He took a bunch of warriors. He mind controlled them, and he even mind controlled Batman. And the way it's shown is like Kara is in Superman's old cell.
Of course.
And he's just like, "You're going to join us." And it was pretty funny because she was just like, "I'll never join you." And then she's just like, or he just says something like, "Oh, I think you will. I have new ways now." And it's just like, you see Batman being controlled by Brainiac technology and stuff. It's just like, oh,
man,
you're that guy now.
You're a villain. Weird. Like, I like the fact that there's multiple endings. But there's a lot we skipped over there, and there's a lot that went on between that because, well, we can't sit here for 3 hours.
I mean, we could.
We could, but well, I don't have the time. And I'm sure you wouldn't want to listen for a 3-hour podcast about Injustice.
Totally.
But I recommend playing the game. Obviously, I can't tell you to play the game, but I recommend saying, like, hey, it's a fun game. Yeah. We enjoyed it. The story's forever long. Or if you really don't want to play the game, there's obviously probably Google's...
The mobile versions are free. So.
That's true. And there's obviously, like... I'm sure there's a YouTube video out there that shows just the cutscenes, so you can get the long of the short of it. The short of the long of it. Whatever this catchphrase is. So just to talk about a little bit, IGN, which you wrote ING for the first one. I did. IGN reviewed Injustice 1 at 8.2 originally and an 8.2 in remaster. They reviewed Injustice 2 at a 9.0, which means the game is actually pretty good. I agree with those things. Obviously, there's jumps and things that they missed, but I think an 8 and a 9 are pretty accurate. There's new DLC coming out soon-ish. The characters that are so far confirmed are Starfire, Red Hood, and Sub-Zero.
I'm really excited for Red Hood because he looks like the Arkham Knight Red Hood. And I'm not talking about Arkham Knight. I'm talking about like that DLC bonus that GameStop had that was just fun.
It's weird that, I mean, when you're picking characters for DLC, I always feel like they have to have some sort of connection to the story, in my opinion. Obviously, Sub-Zero is not going to connect it in any way, shape, or form. No, it's just we're going to put Mortal Kombat character.
Well, I mean, it's made by the Mortal Kombat developer.
Well, yeah, NetherRealm, but still. Cool that Sub-Zero's in it. Starfire is interesting. I wonder how she'll play. Flying characters in this game are always weird to play.
I have so much issues with them.
It's like, I feel like they're slower, but they're also more powerful, which is a weird combo.
And then there's Dr. Fate, where you don't know what you're doing.
No. I played Dr. Fate, and I literally had no idea what I had to do.
I feel like there should be like a rating system, like on Overwatch, where like you have the stars. Like, this is how difficult they are to play.
Dr. Fate, 10. There's only 3. He has 10. Why? I don't know. Because he's Dr. Fate, and you have no idea what you're doing. Red Hood should be awesome. I think that's good. I think I don't know. I don't know who they're going to come out with. They should release like.
I think Black Manta is coming too.
Black Manta. That'd be a weird one. I mean, it makes sense with the whole Aquaman, like, because you really don't see Aquaman's story all that much within.
There's also another Mortal Kombat character coming.
I'm gonna guess Scorpion.
Nope, he was in the first one.
So there's another.
It's the lightning god. I can't think of his name.
Raiden.
Yeah.
Who else would I want to see in this game? I don't know. I'd like to play as.
I want Nightwing.
But like Dick Grayson Nightwing.
No, I don't care. I wanted to play the one that's clearly shown in the game that I can't play as.
Because your butt hurt. Can we bring like the other rogues? I want to play as Trickster.
How? I feel like that would just be a skin for Joker. I mean, there are in this game alternate skins called Premier skins that alter the character and voice and appearance completely, regardless of your armor. And there's like Reverse Flash, which is really cool. Power Girl, which is the oddest one for me.
Don't say why.
Just look at the difference. Just go look at the difference. It's weird why they did that.
You'll see the difference pretty clearly.
And then there's Vixen for Cheetah, For Captain Cold, there's Mr. Freeze.
Is there actually Mr. Freeze?
Yeah.
It makes me happy. Is it the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze?
No, I wish.
Man. They couldn't get
And
him
then,
to do it.
what was it? Green Lantern has Jon Stewart. Oh, and The Flash also has Jay Garrick.
The Jay Garrick one's cool. I think that's a Flash that... Okay, we're going to get into our recommendations of the comic book of the week. Jay Garrick's on the cover of the newest Flash.
Yeah. It's The Last of the Button, I believe.
The Button Part 4.
Yeah.
So that's a series that I'm excited about. But
I actually read all of that recently.
is it cool?
It ends so weirdly.
Well, it probably doesn't end as weird as the fact that you see the button.
No, I mean, like, the ending just kind of, like, what's next?
I know. It's exciting. They're keeping you going.
I mean, they have the Doomsday Clock thing coming in November, so I assume that's something with that.
Of course. Recommendations. Comic book of the week. Comic books that have came out this week that we recommend you go read. Nate, what are your two?
Mine are Nightwing 21.
Nightwing 21. And what's up with Nightwing 21?
I know he's starting a new arc that happened this week, and he is teaming up with the OG Wally West.
The OG Wally West.
And he is fighting a new villain called Time Bomb.
Clever.
I don't remember what the arc's name is, but I was reading through it a little bit, and it seems pretty good.
Okay, and your next one?
My next one is Super Sons.
Super Sons number 4.
Yeah.
The When I Grow Up arc.
Yeah. Like, just the fact that it's called that is just kind of awesome because you see the cover of it, and it's both of them just, like, running through.
So the cover is... Is it Damian Wayne as the Super Son?
Damian Wayne and I forget Superman's son's name. Forget it. It's relatively new character, so.
Yeah, it's Superman's son. Isn't is it Bart Allen in that one?
Nope. No. It's just it's like the old Batman Superman comic, but they're sons.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. I need to read that. There's only 4 out. I might go get them. I didn't know that was out there. I didn't know Super Sons was a thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's more directed for children, I would say, but
of course it is.
But I mean, like, it's pretty cool still.
All right, so that's his pick. So to stay balanced, to stay even, of course, I had to pick comics that weren't DC because I went against it. The first one I decided was X-Men Gold number 4, and the biggest thing with that is that Gambit is back. Ooh, Gambit.
Wait, which Gambit?
It doesn't say. It just says Gambit. I think it's like the original Gambit.
Are we talking about the TV show Gambit or?
It doesn't tell you really which one. It just says Gambit is returned and he's back to basically cause trouble because, well, that's Gambit.
Oh, so it's evil Gambit.
Kind of, sort of, I would imagine. He joins them. Gambit's costume is weird to me. I don't like his face thing.
You ready for Channing Tatum as Gambit?
I think it could work. I think it could do something good.
I feel like deep down, a secret desire of yours is to become Gambit, like on a live action movie.
Nah, see, Gambit's one of my favorite Marvel characters. I don't think I could be a superhero. I don't know what superhero I could look and play as. Colossus, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I can't do a German accent.
Hyperion?
Hyperion. There's a lot of things. Red Tornado? I don't know. He's not important anymore. He's not. He's so gone. I want them to revamp him somehow. I want a live action Red Tornado. Make that happen.
Actually, this week they announced Black Lightning, new CW TV show.
Ooh, Black Lightning. I'm okay with that. That's something we could talk about.
Yeah.
And then I want to say this for Image Comics, Image or Dark Horse Comics. It is called God Country number 5. Now,
wait, is this part of the like American Gods thing or?
I'm not 100%. So the Battle for Valifax is here. Not 100% sure. I looked into it. It's basically like a bunch of gods fight each other, and it's like not like Mortal Kombat gods. They're like Titans. Like
I'm imagining like the Titans from Hercules, like the thing, because I play a lot of Kingdom Hearts. So.
Yes, that's basically what the cover is. This giant armored beast man gladiator person.
Beast man.
I'll show you the cover for it. Don't tell me that this is not
armored beast man.
It's like this giant. Oh my good lord! I looked up the Phantom Zone. I was like, it's this crazy cover that I'm like, what are you like? What is that?
Oh, it looks like the Destroyer.
I mean, but it's Image Comics, so there's not.
Yeah,
they're not the
I
destroyers.
know.
But it's like, I don't know. It looked cool, and there's this whole story. It's not God Country, but God Country number 5.
Flash.
It's Jay Garrick. It's a cover Flash 22, the new one. That's also, by the way, speaking of that, Flash number 22, the newest one, or is it 23?
It's 22.
Where they have Jay Garrick as the cover.
Hmm?
I always like when they have like that fourth wall break almost.
I mean, I could tell you why he's on the cover.
Don't. I want to look into it more. But it's kind of like the cover's like burnt. You can kind of read that says Flash and it says 22, but like you can't. So it's
I mean, I kind of want to tell you.
Don't do it. Anyway, actually, is it Welcome to God Country? I don't know. It's cool. It's like Titans fighting each other, and I think it's interesting. And it's Image, so it's not
Image makes some pretty interesting stories,
right.
and I enjoy them.
It's like a Titan from Hercules, but more like a gladiator. I don't know. Go read it. Go find out. That's not.
That Spawn.
That's Spawn.
That's Spawn.
That's for
Like,
sure.
is that just a fake art? Sorry, we're looking at Google Images right now. Is that just like fan art? What?
I don't know. Okay. Well, that adds. That's the plotline addition. Anyway, it's out. Go look it up. I wanted to throw something different in there. So that's what we have. What are we talking about next week? Do we know yet?
I don't think we decided.
Did we set? We did.
I mean, we could talk about Samurai Jack since it ends tomorrow night.
We could talk about Samurai Jack. We've talked about Samurai Jack. We talked about Spider-Man. It's kind of one of the ones we wanted to talk about in the whole Spider-Verse. We could talk movies.
Talk movies.
I
I think we could talk movies.
We could. We'll figure it out.
for-
You'll find out
We
next
could also
week.
just do multiple.
Who knows? We talked a lot about Injustice because, well, there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot on Injustice 2.
Yeah, because it's the newest one. Injustice 1's been out for a while, so you kind of forget, but Injustice 2 is the new game. Go out and play it. It's fun. It's a different fighting style. It's a fighting game.
And if you're low on money, you can basically play through the whole story on your phone. So
Yeah, there's a free mobile game, which is kind of cool. And that's basically all we have left. It's a long episode. Holy crap.
Yeah.
We've been talking forever. So, any last words? Any last recommendations?
check out the Black Lightning trailer for CW's new Black Lightning TV show. It looks so interesting.
So interesting.
Like, very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. CW shows have always been kind of hit or miss with me. I'm not 100% sold on. I mean, I like a Flash, I like Arrow, but like, I don't know, man. I feel like they're taking these and they're not, and Warner Brothers and CW are not going to give CW.
No, we're CW.
Yeah, CW's not really going to sell the rights to a lot of things, so it's like the movie's going to be different from the show.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think Black Lightning's showing up in the movies.
Also, check it out. I think I've heard news. The character for the main guy from Sons of Anarchy, he wants to play Green Arrow.
Okay, that's awesome.
Right?
But
Go look into that. I don't know what his name is, but
also,
look it up.
Flash ends next week on Tuesday.
Like the series or the season? Okay, I was like, series finale. What?
Find out what happens.
Find out what happens to Barry Allen. Barry Allen's his Flash. It's not Wally West. It's not Bart either.
I mean, I don't want to spoil it because if you haven't watched the last episode, like, I would spoil, or the last like few episodes, I would spoil so much by saying anything.
We've already spoiled enough. So go out, get the game, go out, read some comics, go enjoy it. Go to your local comic book store, support them, and keep reading. Anything else?
I guess share us with your friends, family, loved ones, dogs, pets, whatever.
Of course. And until next time, we're editing. That's what we are. We are editing this out. Until next time,
keep it
we all don't. Come on, man. We're not.
We all don't wear capes. We all don't wear capes.
We don't wear capes. See ya.